Everybody, so we're going to be talking about writing equations in slope-intercept form. There are going to be two ways that you're going to be getting it, and that's given a slope and a point and given 2 points. The first one that we're going to be talking about is using given slope and a point, so that should be your top flat, and I'm going to swipe up because I don't have flaps on my computer. So they've gone ahead and given you the slope of m equals 2, and they've given you a point in x, y. It's a coordinate pair. So what we're going to do is we're just going to substitute each and every single one of these values in. So I'm going to use purple for my y. And you don't have to use colors, but for some people it really helps. And this would be a good way of you guys seeing it. And there's your 2 of your slope. I'm going to use yellow for my x value right here. Now what you don't know in all of this, is your b. That's what's still missing. You don't know what your y-intercept is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this entire equation, and our second step is to solve for b. So we're going to go 9 equals 2 times 4 plus b. 2 times 4 is 8, so we've got 9 is equal to 8 plus b. And if you don't know what 8 plus something gets you 9, we're going to use our inverse operations because our numbers will not always be that easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 8 using inverse operations. And 9 minus 8 gets you 1. So your b value is a 1. And now you can write it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to replace your slope with what they gave you to begin with, which was a 2. And your b value, which was a positive 1, and you just replace it in. So your final equation is y equals 2x plus 1. And you're done. So I want you to go ahead and try this one out. And I'm going to move through it a little bit faster with less color coding. So we've got y equals mx plus b. And we're going to drop all of these numbers in. And this one's working with negatives. So 3 equals negative 4 times your x value of negative 1 plus b. We're going to go ahead and solve for b, which was our second step. And our first step was plugging it in. And so I'm just going to be a little lazy and she's just going to keep going. Because on your paper, you wouldn't have to rewrite it. So it gets 3 equals negative 4 times negative 1 plus b. So you get 3 is equal to 4 plus b. Use your inverse operation, subtract 4 from each side, and you get a b of negative 1. You're going to drop your m value and your b value, if it would ever let me highlight it, but it won't, into your equation right here, and you have your answer of y equals negative 4x minus 1. Your negative changes this plus sign into a minus. It is that powerful. And that's all it is. When you've been given a point and a slope, it's easy. All you're having to do is solve for b and plug it back in. But now, when you've only been given 2 points, they haven't given you is the slope. So what we're going to have to do is first we're going to have to find our slope. So let's look at our first example right here that I'm going to walk through with you. And again, our step right here is to find that slope. And I'm going to use the t-chart method. So we've got negative 2 and negative 5. Then we've got negative 6 and negative 3. Remember, you're lining up your commas. And using those commas, we're going to make our t-chart using x and y. From -5 to -3, we're going to add 2. That's our change in y so far. Ooh. And then from -2 to -6, you ended up subtracting 4. And so you've got 2 over -4. But whenever you've got a fraction, no matter what it is, you're going to have to simplify. So I'm going to use, and once we end up simplifying this, you end up getting -1/2. So your slope for this, if you want to write it out, if you can't read my handwriting right now, is -1/2. And we're going to do the same stuff that we did on the top flap. We're going to substitute our x, and then we're going to solve for b. All 3 of these steps are the same. The first one is just that you have to find the slope on this type of problem. In this one, it doesn't matter which which point you use. You're still going to end up getting the same thing. And I am going to work with this one just because I want to, nothing special. And I'm going to drop my values in. So I've got y is -3 equals our m value, which is a -1/2, x value of -6 plus b. And now we're going to solve for b, which is our third step. So we're going to have to multiply, and you guys see fractions right here, and you freak out. Stop it. You know how to find the half of something. I'm going to change colors so you guys can see this a little bit better. -3 equals. Look at your signs first. It's going to be a negative times a negative. So whatever we get, it's going to be a positive. So that's it. Now we've got half of 6. Half of 6 is just 3. Because it was positive from our negative times negative. That's all we have to write. Now bring your b down, and you get 3 plus b. We're solving for b, and we're going to use our inverse operation and subtract this positive 3 from both sides, and you end up getting -6 equals b. You're going to take these values and you're going to drop them into our y equals mx plus b, and you get y equals -1/2 x minus 6 as your answer. So let's go ahead and do this one right here. And it looks like some of you might have been speeding through and you're like, oh, this is a no slope. It's going to be undefined. But you have to watch your signs here. So let's find our slope. I want to stack 2, -1 right under it. Make my t-chart. Okay, for my change in y, I'm getting -6. For my change in x, I am adding 4. So it looks like we're going to have another fraction, and that's okay. Fractions are friends. They give you things like food. Don't be scared. So -6 over 4, we're going to simplify it, and you get -3 over 2 as your slope. You're not done yet, but it's good to kind of just have that circled off or anything so you know where to look back at. Sometimes you have a lot of work. And now we're going to take either of these points and drop them in. Excuse me, y'all. And I am going to use the first point this time, just to show you that no matter what, we're going to get the same thing. So now we've got 5 equals -3 over 2 times our x value of -2 plus b. We're going to go ahead and multiply, and we end up getting 2 negatives again. Oh my gosh, which means we'll know that this will be a positive number. There we go. -3 over 2 times -2. So that's 3 halves. Half of 2 is 1. and you're going to multiply that 3, which will get you a positive 3. And if you're doing it where you're multiplying your fractions like you should have been, like this, you still get the same answer. Negative 3 times negative 2 gets you a 6. Divided by 2 times 1, which is a 2. 6 divided by 2, well, it's that 3 right there. Plus b. So we've got a positive 3 plus something gets us 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract that 3 from both sides. And you get 2 is equal to b. And we're so excited we're done, but you're not. Because your actual problem, what it was asking you to do, was to set it into y equals mx plus b. So you plug in your slope. Don't forget that x, some of you did on your quiz. Plus 2. And that would be your answer. We're going to do some more practice when I see you guys next on writing equations in slope-intercept form. I will go ahead and put up a copy of these very, very colorful notes up on Google Classroom for you guys to look at. Make sure you've got this in, and when I see you next, we're going to be doing a quick check to whether or not you know how to do this now. Thanks, y'all.